Welcome back, Honors. As you can see, I'm getting super hyped up because I get to talk about the age of Pericles. I even have it up here, and then I have it over here, and like all this other kind of stuff because I think he is a monumentally important figure in the history of ancient Greece, right? And we're particularly just talking about him today, right? And we're going to talk about some other stuff tomorrow in class to kind of wrap up the classical period a little bit. Now, as you can tell, it is Wednesday now. Tomorrow's Thursday, and we're finishing the classical period, which means we'll talk about the Peloponnesian War tomorrow evening, most of it anyway. We'll get into the Hellenistic period on Friday. We're going to have a little bit more stuff to wrap up on Monday, and then we'll have Green and White Day. So your next test is probably going to be next Friday, all right? So it's going to be fine. You guys are going to do great. Your project sheet is also posted as of right now, all right? And we're going to talk a little bit more in class about exactly what we're looking for, and we're going to dedicate a lot of that time tomorrow, okay? Got it? Cool? All right? So, and like I said, there is a very loose due date on this project due to the fact that, like, I want it done well. I'm not too concerned about it being done right now. It has to be done now. I just want it done before the quarter's over so we can make sure it's a really good, well-done product, right, that you're going to remember for the rest of your life and that you're going to learn from, right? That's my big thing. And any parents out there listening to this, please do not fret and tell your young ladies to calm down because it's really okay. I promise I will not lead you astray. I'm not going to make it due like tomorrow randomly. There's not going to be a 5-page paper that goes with it. It's about a learning experience. It's not about doing it to do it, right? So, but let's talk about one of my favorite people, all right? So, like, this is Pericles, right? So, now a lot of historians are like, he's not that important, and he actually is kind of a dictator. I disagree, all right? So, because I'm a big, big fan of populist politicians. I love the concept of a populist politician because they believe they are trying to be immediately reactive, right? So he is a populist politician in the fact that he had a lot of major accomplishments that were meant to directly affect the lives of Athenians, right? Directly affect them and directly help them out, right? So, now, some of his biggest accomplishments are going to be things like simple. He built walls around Athens and their naval base. Okay, whatever, right? So anyway, now, well, walls are super important to help defend because what did Athens look like after the second Persian invasion? Oh, yeah, like it had been completely burned to the ground, right? So when you actually think about it, it is a pretty big and very important deal that he did build walls to help fortify the city, right? So he also, though, here's my favorite part, has the Acropolis of Athens rebuilt in a brand new statue of Athena placed on top of it, built out of ivory and gold, right? Inside of their new Parthenon, which is money. All right, so which is absolutely so cool and so flippin' awesome. Now, here's the other thing, though. He has the statue of Athena built 40 feet tall out of ivory and gold inside of the new Parthenon as well. What is the one dicey thing about his government right there? Where's all that money coming from? You are so flippin' smart, Grace, all right? Ridiculously intelligent. Look at you go, all right? Yeah, it's all coming from the Delian League, right? It's all coming from the Delian League, that new military alliance that they had that people got to pay dues to. They're kind of just ripping all of these people off. So there is some shady stuff going on, and he is going to reform the government, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But this is the new Parthenon that they have built, which is absolutely gorgeous. And then this is the statue of Athena that they have built inside of it, right? Now, some of y'all are like, whoa, I hear you over there, Lauren. I know Lauren's like, how can I go see that? All right, so, well, that's a reproduction. All right, so unfortunately, the real statue of Athena that was built out of ivory and gold actually is lost in history. We don't know what happened to it. We have no clue. I'm really hoping that I'll just go dig a hole outside of Chappelle and then it'll just be right there, but it probably won't be. But it's 40 feet tall, and it was worth a ridiculous amount of money, which I will reveal to you tomorrow, all right? Don't go look it up. Let's have some fun with it, all right? So, but more than likely the Romans destroyed it or pieced it off and sold it because that's a big thing Romans like to do is they kind of like to pillage. So now this makes complete sense. And before you say anything dumb, this is Japanese yen with this little baby. All right, now because I put into Google like several years ago, get money, and that's one of the first results that popped up, so I couldn't help myself. It's hilarious. Now, anyway, so before Pericles, here's a crazy awesome thing he did, right? So go ahead and put a star next to this. Before Pericles, government workers were always wealthy. Remember we were talking about the establishment of Athens and how they were an aristocracy and like a small oligarchy and a democracy and a nee. All right, so like all these other things. Well, before Pericles, government workers were always extremely wealthy, right? Now, due to this, government workers didn't get paid, all right? So because they didn't believe they needed to be paid, right? So wait a minute. Now, how is it possible for someone who is poor or of the middle class or of the poorer class able to work in the government because they have to actually work to support their family? Exactly. It's not fair, right? So government workers were paid after like Pericles. Once he came into power, he got government workers paid a wage. And so that way, anyone of any class had the ability to actually participate in their government, right? So nowadays, we actually still believe in this concept originally adopted by Pericles. Now senators these days, you don't need to write this down, but now senators these days make like $175,000 a year. The vice president makes $230,000 a year. The president makes $500,000 a year, which is crazy. Now, anyway, so Pericles, though, also is going to create, like I said, pay for government workers, right? He's going to create more equal elections, right? Ones that actually have the ability to properly get their message out to the people, and ones that are actually about helping the people directly. He's also going to create free theater seats for the poor, right? He's going to actually design an area in the Athenian amphitheaters, ampha meaning both sides, all right? So where there are areas where the poor can go directly engage with art. Because for a long time, this was a thing reserved only for the wealthy. So as you can tell, Pericles is a very big populist. He wants to help out the poor, or he wants to help out the people in all forms, regardless of their wealth, right? And just so you know, we still interact with ancient Greek theater, like all the time. Like absolutely all the time, right? So because like we actually still, like our mythology like project that we're doing, a lot of those were actually told within the ancient Greek theater. The masks that are used to represent drama classes, the happy face and the sad face, those come from ancient Greek theater because all the performers would always wear masks, right, to try and actually simulate the person of which they are playing. So these are some of the masks that actually Athenian performers and ancient Greek performers would wear when they're actually doing their performances in the amphitheaters, right? Also, Pericles had a bunch of these other things built. Write this down. Odeons, right? O-D-E-O-N, right? He had a bunch of odeons built, okay? So odeons are places where people could go and perform poems or sing songs and things like that. So he had more of those built for the public, which is absolutely ridiculous. So, because here's the thing, he is one of my favorite figures, and he ushers in a golden age, right? Which is a time of great cultural growth and prosperity, right? So he also is going to see, unfortunately, also the growth of the Athenian Empire, because this is the one hang-up. A lot of historians are like, he's not that great, he's more of a dictator, because under Pericles, he did grow this thing known as like the Athenian Empire. This concept where it's like Athens is extending its reach and pulling other people in, and then also telling people they can or can't trade with other groups. And so they're getting into their feet into a lot of hot water, so that like this is one of Pericles' little foul-ups, right? So he creates new art, theater, jobs, and a great economy flourishes under him. But all the while, who is this making furious, right? They just recently got hit by an earthquake. They just recently had their helots revolt against them. They just recently had all these people just like rise up and like destroy parts of their economy. And while they're rebuilding, they're witnessing Athens grow at a phenomenal rate. That's right. Sparta is furious, right? They are freaking out. Sparta is very upset. All right, so Sparta is particularly in a bad mood. All right, so anyway, now, but you don't need that. You don't need that. You don't need that. Oh, this is the last thing we're going to leave off of. We're going to talk about these guys tomorrow. But then even under the age of Pericles, new ideas are going to begin to flourish, right? New concepts are going to begin to flourish. And one of the best things to grow out of the classical period of Athens is philosophy, right? Philosophy is something very near and dear to Mr. Terry's heart. I'm obsessed with philosophy. I think it is absolutely something I would have majored in college if I could have had a legitimate job with it, right? So now philosophy, of course, a philosopher is a lover of wisdom. Philosophy is the concept of growing your intellectual boundaries past questions that simply have a right or wrong answer, right? Trying to grapple with things that maybe don't have a correct answer, right? So maybe that it depends on the situation, that it depends on, like earthly limitations. Is there good? Is there evil? And if they are two things, are they always in conflict with each other? Or does it depend on the situation? I'll hit you with a lot of philosophical questions tomorrow, which are going to be some good stuff. And philosophy, though, is also going to start causing people to turn away from myths and start to begin to look at the world around them and try to grapple with it on their own and try to understand how the natural world is playing out and how it affects them personally, right? So now the philosophers are going to get themselves in some hot water as well, which we'll talk about a few of them. A couple of them end up doing some dumb stuff and asking a few too many questions, and Pericles gets a little upset, one of them in particular, and we'll talk about him tomorrow. But the logic, they believe in just using all this logic to explain the world around them. And you kidding me? I will take 4 days to talk about philosophers if I can. But I can't. I understand. This is a survey course. You got to do what you got to do. But that is all right? That's where we're going to leave off. So I will see you guys tomorrow. I hope y'all have a great evening. Catch y'all later.